the next thing in the world or the market will be metaverse, and it is the 3D internet. So there's a couple from Tamil Nadu who had conducted their entire marriage in a metaverse platform, and the best part was of the entire wedding was that the bride had lost her father, and they also had an avatar of her father attending the wedding. So it was a very emotional part, and also people had enjoyed a lot.
First metaverse wedding presented by Coin.
Attackers can hijack the user's avatar, gain control of all the assets that they have access to. Have you in your research worked in that area, and how do you approach it?
If your identity, or let us say if your user ID credentials are getting compromised, then the attacker can use it for its own malicious intent.
And of course use that for, sometimes impersonation, sometimes getting some property and misusing it, and so on and so forth. Like, there is a lot of potential for compromise there.
So normally attackers can deepfake the personality's voice, the avatar that the personality is using in the virtual environment. So these actually leads to digital theft and impersonation in that case.
With respect to metaverse, how is security going to change? Because today's concerns are, of course, identity threats or financial transactions and issues like that, which are a bigger thing for today. Tomorrow there may be new things coming in the metaverse.
If we talk about security, that actually gets a bit compromising over there. But since AI will be helping the security team a lot in that way, so in that way actually it should be really good in tackling the security related concern.
Welcome to Breakpoint. I'm your host, Neelu, and here we are decoding the bleeding edge of cybersecurity. We are here to challenge assumptions, explore breakthrough defense, and learn from some of the most innovative minds in the field. Enjoy, folks. Hi, and welcome everyone to this episode of Breakpoint. The topic for today is securing you in the metaverse. Our guests for today are Mohini and Jaydeep, technology consultants from EY. Welcome to Breakpoint, Mohini and Jaydeep.
Hey, hi Neelu, thank you so much for calling us.
Hi Neelu, we are glad to be a part of this security podcast.
Okay, thanks for joining me. So when I was thinking of your area of research, right, you're also going to speak at KuCon about this topic. I think it's very interesting. I was thinking of the beginnings of this space, where few years back we had a lot of things coming up in this space. Like, there was Second Life, where an individual could have another life, and then eventually came in the metaverse, where we have this entire world of ecosystems, where we have not just individuals but businesses. There are marketplaces, there is art and creativity, and there is so much else going on in this space. And it is not just that it's metaverse. I think there are a lot of digital worlds and spaces that will come out in these lines, and that's what makes it so special. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about it. How do both of you see not just metaverse, but also what actually drew you to that? Like, why did you do research in specifically this area?
So I'll start off. So when I sit with AI now and maybe talk to ChatGPT for very simple things like maybe drafting an email, what I understand is, or maybe I picture myself 10 years back when I had no clue I would be even doing that. So since AI is the new era which is dominating the entire world now, we understand that the next thing in the world or the market will be metaverse, and it is the 3D internet. So to maybe explain it in a very clear way, I would like to pitch in more examples. Recently, or maybe during the time of COVID, people were not conducting marriages in a physical form, right? What I mean to say that you could not invite the guest and everything, because we had a lot of norms that were sent by the government. So there's a couple from Tamil Nadu who had conducted their entire marriage in a metaverse platform, and the best part was of the entire wedding was that the bride had lost her father, and they also had an avatar of her father attending the wedding. So it was a very emotional part, and also people had enjoyed a lot. We also have certain companies like Honda and Tanishq Riva that is coming up with the metaverse thing. So India also it is booming, and we understand that it is the next big thing tomorrow. So it maybe gave us a lot of interest in the topic and helped us ensure that we also take up and understand what is the security perspective of metaverse when it comes to handling everything that is happening there.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the recent update in metaverse environment, if I talk about, recently Mark Zuckerberg launched its digital Ray-Ban Meta glasses, which will be run through a neural wristband through the EMG technology, electromyography, and like it's just a glass wearing. You are like required not to use your phone. It's like you are just operating your phone through those glasses virtually in an AR setup. But that's about the recent advancement. Starting from 2017, there was one like metaverse environment called as Decentraland or Sandbox as well, where Decentraland actually is a virtual workplace or a virtual land where the whole huge land is divided into small spots or small plots, where each plot is actually with some kind of assets built on it, and all are virtual assets. But the demand of it has gone so crazy and so hyped up that today, like if in 2025 we match the value of the currency that is being used in Decentraland, the currency is called as mana, MANA. Now, one mana is 30 rupees of Indian currency. Like if we compare it to US dollars, it is 90 rupees of $1. So compared it to mana, it is 30 rupees. So if you want to purchase something, it is so hyped up that it has such a huge demand that it has such huge value. So if I share about the facts that what are the amount of users or how many people are using metaverse today, China is actually at the top if we talk about the country stats. Next comes up with US, then Germany, South Korea, and UAE. So like metaverse is being used in various countries in various forms, but then India is currently booming. It is currently doing well in the market. Like if I talk about Tech Mahindra, they actually launched a metaverse for the customers to choose their vehicle colors, choose their vehicle environment, just to have a feel like how they would look or how they would feel that whole car from inside, from outside. So currently in India, it's not that booming as as it is in the other countries in terms of technicality or in terms of the usage of it.
So, just to end up on a very positive note, that what is the future of metaverse, I would like to put an example of an estimate. So, Gucci had an article on it that they had sold a bag for dressing up the metaverse way more higher than their actual price. So, such is the hype. Nike has Nike Land, in which you can buy a shoes for your metaverse, and it might cost you more than the real shoes price of Nike. So it's absolutely dominating the market. It has a lot of things that they are doing. In India, it's still at a phase where we still think that the example that I started off with, right? 10 years back, I would not know I will be communicating to ChatGPT or Gemini or any such OpenAI tools. Similar is the case of India. We're still in a very progressive phase, but yes, we do have a market set up with all the examples that Jaydeep gave or pitched it, and all the examples that I had, be it Tanishq, be it Tech Mahindra, be it Honda, or be it any other company, they are taking a step forward. That's how we came up to this topic, and we actually planned up with the whole problem statement. And the gap that still exists in the market is of course security, because more progressive the environment becomes, more smarter the attacker gets, you have to be, or your defensive mechanism has to be enough smarter to handle the entire situation. So it's a race between AI versus AI.
Yeah, I think that takes me to a lot of segues, but I'll just hold my horses. Actually, one of the big areas which I have been thinking about is about any world, right? And how metaverse might be slightly different is where even the physical assets are not physical assets, like the digital assets. That means everything has a possibility, maybe everything is mostly code, and hence has a possibility of being compromised. Now, in this context, and given our current concerns, one of the top concerns in security that we have is identity. And when we talk about metaverse and digital identity therein, your avatar is your identity. And I think we have heard this before as well. It happens, of course, in the real world. It happens, of course, it will be happening in metaverse as well. Attackers can hijack the user's avatar, gain control of all the assets that they have access to, and of course use that for sometimes impersonation, sometimes getting some property and misusing it, and so on and so forth. Like, there is a lot of potential for compromise there. Have you in your research worked in that area, and how do you approach it?
So yes, like what exactly happens if we talk about digital identity theft and impersonation here is, if we talk about the telemetries, like how this would occur, then the first and foremost, if we can say, if you have a digital identity, especially in the metaverse environment, then if your identity, or let us say if your user ID credentials are getting compromised, then the attacker can use it for its own malicious intent. The other thing is the attacker itself is impersonating someone else, either let us say as a personality, a well-known famous personality. It can be a politician, it can be a cricketer, a sports person, a dancer, or any celebrity, right? So impersonation is one of the things. Some advanced level in impersonation in the virtual environment is with the use of AI, and that too, more specifically, it is deepfakes. So normally attackers can deepfake the personality's voice, the avatar that the personality is using in the virtual environment. So these actually leads to digital theft and impersonation in that case. If I specifically mention about an example or a case, in 2022 and 23, these were the reports shared by BBC and Washington Post. So in the article, actually, it was being mentioned that there is a virtual environment called as Horizon Worlds, which is of Meta.
Okay.
Now, Meta has few such metaverse environments called as Horizon World. The other is Horizon Workspace. Now, Horizon Workspace is used for the office setup, where let us say there are a few corporate employees working together, want to discuss on any project. Normally, they would use, let us say, Microsoft Teams or Google Meet or any other platform that they're using. But through the metaverse environment, they can come together in a metaverse environment. Let us say there is a conference setup in that environment, so everybody's logged in through that. They're having a conference setup, they're having a workspace in it, and they're discussing their thoughts on that. But if we talk about Horizon Worlds, so the article was saying about Horizon Worlds, which is used for having any kind of social hangouts virtually, or even playing games virtually. And this particular Horizon Worlds platform is used for the age criteria above 13 years as per the Meta policy.
Okay.
Now, what was the article mentioning about is there was an incident where there were a few incidents actually reported where the digital identity theft users or the malicious intent users were actually impersonating someone else using deepfake, and in that social hangout environment they were actually behaving as if they're a celebrity, but then they were harassing the other users over there by, let us say, being a bit racist or being a bit abusive, or let us say just like harassing in a way by some other uncomfortable gestures. So these were the incidents that were being tackled. So these are actually the telemetries which from our research work we are actually tackling, and we are noting it down and then performing further future steps in that.
Okay, anything specific that you have observed in this space? Yes, Mohini.
So we worked with this particular scenario, and this is one of the core components or the base of how we had developed the model, the architecture diagram, as well as it is purely backed up by mathematical formulas. So now our model has a Gaussian theory on which it works. We'll understand this with the help of a scenario. Say I am a user and I usually log into a metaverse environment, and I have very calm posture, gestures. I usually talk in a very low tone. But suddenly my tool observes that one day I log in, say from Russia, I have a very high tone and I do not have a calm gesture as it was tracking. And I also have been doing some or the other malicious activity. Now my tool understands that this is a flagged situation and it marks it as X, or the action that the user is doing, which is less than 0.05, which is as per the Gaussian model. Now the tool understands that since it is not in the Gaussian range, it comes below and it is not as per what is estimated, the entire activity is blocked there, and only the genuine ones are proceeded further or processed, and the other ones are not allowed in that particular case. So this way we do not allow any kind of digital identity thefts happening, any kind of impersonation or adversarial AI attacks from happening. We completely block or restrict them there and then. So this is how we have tackled it.
So this is amazing. This sounds more like the user behavior analysis that we have, and I think we have that today in the IDDR, the identity threats detection response systems also that have come up. And although in my understanding we will definitely have way more parameters in a digital space like this, because there are too many other indicators than a physical world, because in physical world you can only measure so much. So this should be ideally more effective in the digital space.
Yes, it is more effective in the digital space, because imagine a space where you can actually not have a real input data. The input data comes only from whatever you're doing, say your actions, your gestures, your tone, and everything is my data. Hence, in this particular space, it is only an accurate model which can help you estimate everything that you're doing, because the data doesn't remain constant. So that is how we have taken up the situation and we have tackled it.
Okay, great. So keeping identity behind us, I know there are a lot of different formats in which it will, of course, influence the digital spaces that we build in future as well, because then we can obviously plug and play the technology from here to any other place. But there is one bigger and important aspect is of, financial transactions, and this is not new to something like a metaverse or any digital space, because at the end of the day business enables a lot of it. So there will be transactions of all kinds. So when we talk about transactions, it happens in various ways, whether it be virtual real estate, buying and selling, whether it be using crypto or using NFTs or any other form of payments or transactions. The question that I had was, it's a big part of making this virtual world look and feel real, because once you can possess something, once you can call it's your own, then there is more sort of interaction and engagement from the users, and they would want to belong there and have their social circles and things like that. So all kinds of transactions do happen. One thing is that all of this is very much interwoven with other technologies, right? Because we're not just doing payments, it's not just about payment gateway, the currency formats and things like that. There are a lot of immersive experience also, because we are using AR, VR, and if you look at Metaverse, there are a lot of other technologies that will sort of convert your real world experience and bring it down to the virtual experience, where or make it more realistic for you, actually the other way around. So now when all of this comes together, have you been able to look into or observe, have any observations or secure any of this or detect any of the anomalies in this space?
Yes, Neelu, actually this is a very interesting point about the financial transactions, because the only realistic thing or the only real thing that is happening in the virtual environment of Metaverse is the financial transactions. I mean, it's like all the major stakeholders, including the person who is running the business and the customers in the Metaverse environment, and the attackers as well, though it's not a stakeholder, but still the attacker as well, all are interested in financial transactions and the finances. Now, since you mentioned about the engagement of the users with the financial transactions or the the various links related to that, so mostly it runs in the crypto currencies, and the crypto financial transactions are occurred in the Metaverse environment. One interesting case I would like to share here, just recently last year in September 2024, as I had earlier mentioned about the Decentraland environment. So in that, what had happened is the Decentraland's official Twitter account got hacked in September 2024, and the attackers actually posted a luring link on that Twitter account, saying that if you want free manas, the mana that I had earlier mentioned about the currency that is being used in the Decentraland environment. So if you want free manas into your wallet, just kindly click in this link, and you'll be you just need to link your account, and you'll get the free mana into your account. So everybody thought that since this particular link is getting added from, or like getting posted from the official decentralized account, so definitely this might be the like gesture, or this might be the work from the decentralized team as well. So people thought that let's click on it and just link our crypto wallets just for a few manas that they were offering. Now, as soon as people were clicking on that link, besides getting those manas, whatever they had in the crypto wallet, they were actually transferring it to them unknowingly.
Okay.
So this was very critical and sensitive for all the users, like whom to trust and whom not, because Decentraland was it was the official account of Decentraland. But then if such kind of cases happen, it hampers the whole reputation of such genuine company and the users as well. So that was very like a bad case in that way. And for like if we talk about in the perspective of our research work or the solution that we would have provided, what we could have done is so normally the user is transacting, let us say I'm having $20,000 in my account, and if I'm transacting $20 or $30 for a particular transaction online in the crypto format, but suddenly if a transaction of $20,000 is happening, it should have stopped. It should have not allowed to do that, which didn't happen in that way for many users. So our like solution could have been in that way, which we have it in our research work or the tool that we were talking about.
Can you elaborate a little on the research that you did and what you found?
Sure.
Okay, I will be taking up the research part and I'll be adding some points on that. So since Jaydeep was a crypto junkie, this was the first particular parameter that we have identified and worked on. Because we understand that financial security is a must thing in the Metaverse platform, what our tool handles is, it works on a model known as attack severity scoring. So what happens is, for every activity that you perform, we give you a score and a weight. Now the score might range from 0 to 100, the weight ranges from 1 to 5. Say if your activity is not very malicious, or we range it into a low level weight, we give it 1. If you do a very high transaction, a RAG NFT or any kind of frontlet NFT happening, we give it 5. Now let us consider Neelu, you as one of the user, and what is happening is usually you log into the Metaverse environment for buying some or the other digital asset. What you do is you have only 1 to 2 NFT transactions every time. But then suddenly the tool understands that one day or maybe for a week you are having 200 NFTs continuously. That is flagged as suspicious. So we give you a score of 30 and we give you a weight of 5, which is then converted into a total score out of 100, which is 70. Now 70 is a huge number. We understand that you were doing large transactions, which is not allowed as per the tool, and hence we flag you, and this way we stop from any kind of large transaction, fraudulent NFTs, RAG NFTs from happening, and the tool handles the situation in such a way where it prioritizes which attack is going to happen, gives it a weight, a score, and understands and blocks it there and then. So that's how we have handled the entire scenario.
Were you able to test this in, like, maybe of course in a test environment? What were the results? Would you like to share with us?
Okay, so it was tested by Jaydeep in Unity environment, and the results that we have got is 36.9% better and faster as compared to any other traditional IDS system, SIEM or anything. We also have a faster response, which we have used in our SOC part, which is 125 milliseconds, and we have an F1 score of 0.09. So as per now, the tool, we state that it has the best results as compared to any traditional tool which is currently existing in the market, because we understand, and that's what we started off with, you have to be very smart and smarter than your attacker. So that's how we have built the tool, considering this concept.
Awesome. I think, this gives a lot of hope in terms of these kind of detections. I think these will become very much mainstream when such digital spaces come to the mainstream. But since you were talking about SOC, something struck me. So you have also talked in your talk abstract, and I think please clarify on that, is on the threat intelligence and response space. So in real life, in traditional IT systems, of course, this is a big thing to tackle. There are a lot of different parameters we're dealing with. There are too many correlations happening. One major challenge is that since the code, in this case the malicious code, could be anywhere, right? Because it's all digital now. It's not that you have some hardware and then there is some software and then everything else is the real world, so it is the physical world. So we don't have to think from an IT standpoint here. Everything is a digital asset or a digital space. There is a possibility of compromise there. So traditionally we have been talking a lot about the tactics, techniques, behaviors, and tracking the behavior is a big deal. It's a big deal because if you can track behavior, then you can know which is the group behind it. You can actually attribute the issue. You can find the patterns. You can predict what's going to happen next because one behavior generally follows another, and so on and so forth. So you can, in short, figure out the attack path or attacker movement, in this case within the metaverse or the digital space. So what was your observation there? Were you able to do any work in that area? How does detection and response work there? What are the key parameters that you would encourage people to look for?
Yes, Neelu, actually one of the important or interesting point that you had mentioned about is the malicious code. I mean, if you have a particular code and in that if any malicious code has been encapsulated, it's very difficult to identify unless you just run it and you just get a track of it. We actually were looking out for certain case studies, because based on those case studies only we'll be able to identify, okay, what are the scenarios we are supposed to keep ready, so that our tool, so that we can identify and place the certain policies related to that in our tool. So one of the interesting case study, just recently 2022 or 2023, I don't remember the exact year, but what happened exactly was Roblox is one of the gaming environment which had actually started from 2007, but then they added one more environment, that is Metaverse environment, from 2017 or 2018. Now what happened is Roblox actually provides a platform as well for the users to even create games. It is a gaming environment where people actually play game. But then they are also providing a platform where people can also create their own games and allow other users to join and to play games with them.
Nice.
Now, here what happened is certain malicious intent users or the attackers, what they did is they created a game, but then they also slipped in a malicious code inside it. Now that malicious code, what it was doing is, it can, let us say, steal the login tokens by the users, of the users. It can also place a, let us say, phishing link, which will lead to some other page or malicious website or domain, or they can also collect the financial data of that user. So these codes were being slipped in that game which was being coded. Now, as soon as the game is being live on that Roblox environment, and when the user installs that game in their personal system, as soon as they run that game, the malicious code is also getting run. So let us say a phishing link is getting open, and if it is asking to just log in through that link, now as per the user, if I'm downloading that game from that Roblox environment, for me it is a trustworthy and a good reputation website, so I'll just normally run it without checking it. But as soon as I run it, there is a link which is asking to click and just log in through the Roblox. Now if I'm
getting gamed.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as I log in,
yeah, so it's just leading towards the attacker and not the exact Roblox environment. So here the telemetries are this only, which should have been kept a track of.
So we handled the particular scenario in our tool, and we call it the proactive SOC. So we have the SOC completely backed up with various mathematical formulas which we have designed. And our architectural diagram has the SOC as the third block. So we understand threat intelligence and response is the major backbone that you need to have with a lot of competencies and proactiveness, and we've done that. Now talking about the tool. So what the tool does in this case is, it is divided into two tracks. Track A is threat intelligence and track B is threat response. Now we'll understand it in a very simple and a layman language, considering some cases. For example, there is a user A. Now user A, in case of track A, what happens is we use the Bayesian formula and then we use the graph-based propagation model. So for example, if I am the user A, I log into a system, my tool understands that the login is suspicious because the IP and the server are proxy. So it flags me, it gives me a probability of 20%. Now what I do is I then make a huge transaction of 200 NFTs. Again, the tool understands that the user is suspicious with a unusual login attempt, and the user is also making a fraudulent transaction. Now, as per Bayesian, the probability every time gets summed up. It gives me a probability of 90%. I am marked as a very malicious user or a suspicious user. So this way we do the threat intelligence part. Now talking about the response part, which comes under track B, what happens is, and sorry, before I tackle the track B part, I missed on a point that there's also a graph based propagation model. So every time the probability is just increasing, and say I got a 20% probability, then again a 40% probability, now I have a 90% probability of me being a malicious user. Everything is considered as a node, and it is being tracked or marked in form of a graph. So my attack vector or the attacker ka attack vector is already being predicted in this way. Now coming to the track B, which is the response part. Now that my tool has identified that okay, track A person or the user, me, is a malicious user, in that case what it will do is it will block the user, or it will implement a honeypot. So we have a honeypot deployment formula there. So it will immediately instigate a honeypot and just not allow me to enter into the environment. Now the next thing is that after the honeypot is deployed, what might happen is that we also have a threat optimization response time. So we consider our tool to give the best time output or the best deployment possible. We have a 125 milliseconds of output time that we provide, which is way much higher as compared to any traditional tools. Now the next part is that we also or majorly what the developers or people who consider making a tool tackle is with false positives. We have a matrix. We understand that there might be a false alarms that might be appearing, and we have a 0.09% of that F1 score. So we identify major of the attacks as compared to the false positives or alerts that might be generated. Also we have all this stipulated in the correct parameter and the time period, and this is how we provide you the response. We also have optimization index with the Q1 coefficient where the model learns. So every time it identifies a malicious user, say me as being the malicious user, next time you are a malicious user, you try to log in through a proxy server, it understands a scenario like this has already happened before, so it will block you right there and then. So my optimization index just keeps on improving because my model learns every time. This is how we have designed the entire SOC, and we handle the threat response and intelligence part.
Oh, so this is beautiful. I think, and especially the honeypot part as well. I was just just imagining what all could be in the honeypot, but not digressing from there. Were you able to measure the accuracy in this case, or?
Yes. So the accuracy is 125 millisecond, and it has been tested in Unity, and of course it is way higher than the traditional models, which is not able to adapt to the progressing scenarios.
This is the response time, is it?
Correct. Response time.
Okay. So
this is where actually AI comes in, where AI is helping us to be such efficient and have such great results.
I did not have any AI questions because I was thinking, I had a hunch that definitely this will need to involve some level of AI, but can you talk a little bit more about where all you've been able to use AI in your work? And I think generally for other researchers are looking forward to this, how they could, in which all areas they could be using AI, which of course you may not have had the time now, but you think are potential areas where AI can be used or specific models can be used.
So AI, so the tool, if you look at the architecture of the tool, which we will be presenting at the conference, it is designed in a way that it is divided into 3 blocks. Now the very first block is that it is trained into OWASP. We use random forest for training the model to understanding what are the OWASP top 10. We also train the model in giving us an output. So for example, we 3 log into the Metaverse metaverse environment, it keeps capturing my hand gestures, it keeps capturing your tones, and it keeps capturing Jaydeep's keystroke movements. This way we
Okay.
get an output. Now we have a certain set of security rules that we have trained the model with. Say for example, the model understands if the tone is or the gesture crosses a bypar level of 99% or say 99.9%, it has to flag it. So this way we get an output which is in XLS format, and then we also get certain things which are not appropriate. So this is how we have trained the model with random forest on OWASP top 10, and we have written dynamic rapidly changing security rules which identifies what are the potential problematic scenarios or inputs in that case. Jaydeep, if you would like to add on the various AI parts that we have also tackled in the other formats.
Yes, absolutely, Mohini. And also, moreover to the telemetries that what Mohini has shared, just to add on to the telemetries, we are currently working also on the gaze of the user. Basically, if I'm wearing an AR right now, and wherever I'm looking at the screen in that virtual environment, so in that, wherever I'm gazing, we are trying to track that as well, so that the gaze plot attacks can also be solved for
Oh,
that.
nice. Okay. Okay, so that I think this is one of the things that I was talking about when I mentioned that there'll be way too many other parameters, because now the immersive experience is bringing in all of these other sensors as well, which will capture all this data. So does that make our job easier? We'll see that in future. But most of my questions for this is over. One thing that I wanted to just in general know from both of you, because you have been in this space and you're researching in this area, you have a lot more insight, is how do you see in the future, particularly the future of the security that we are trying to do in the entire IT landscape, with respect to metaverse, how is security going to change? Because today's concerns are, of course, identity threats or financial transactions and issues like that, which are a bigger thing for today. Tomorrow there may be new things coming in the metaverse, and particularly how much can it really impact the common man's life? Because we are in reality we are living the real life, right, at the end of the day. And I know that there are a lot of, I think I was going through some stats, more than 90% of the users are more Gen Z users when it comes to platforms like metaverse and maybe in future other digital spaces, but there will always be this real life. So how is that impacting the real life? What are the points of conjunction where we should think more carefully about security?
Well, actually, it's a great point about the Gen Z thing, because that is actually concerning, because they are into a lot of tech space and technology gadgets and all. But then, if we talk about security, that actually gets a bit compromising over there. But since AI will be helping the security team a lot in that way, so in that way, actually, it should be really good in tackling the security related concerns. Majorly, if we talk about the areas that we are focusing currently, we are trying to focus on the education usage of the metaverse environment and the healthcare usage of the metaverse environment, because these two sectors, I feel, if metaverse is penetrated into these two sectors, it should be a really great help for all the stakeholders in those sectors. But in security perspective also, it will be very critical to handle. So in this case, actually, our tool, or maybe anybody working in this tech space and security space, should be really good in that. And also recently, that very sad or sorrow incident that occurred about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So
Yeah.
so what happened exactly was, he was just managing a campaign and having a conversation with with people who trust them or who have certain questions for him. But then assassination and a risk of life in such scenario is not a good thing. So here metaverse is being used for let us say campaigns, virtual campaigns.
Right.
So that would be a really good idea. But then security in that perspective also should be thought of, and we are also currently involved and working on that actively.
Yeah, I think that will be an area that's of immediate, I think, importance.
Exactly.
Because and I did hear that a lot of campaigns have been happening also apart from other things in the metaverse. But yeah, this is a good way of obviously staying safe and still connecting with people socially and at scale. But any impact of security there will mean that the impact amplifies to an entire region or a country, where you may be deciding the fate of individuals, which is very, very good example. Thanks, Jaydeep, for sharing that. I think just on a lighter note, we would be seeing both of you campaigning in the metaverse.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so just quickly before we log off, just wanted to know where your work is today. What is the future of your work? Are you looking forward to any specific areas, to tackle any specific areas in this in future? How does it look like?
So first of all, we have developed a beta version of the tool, and we intend to modify it, formalize it more and make it commercial, and then we might be collaborating with various cybersecurity institutions, non-profit, profit organizations, and maybe creating a worldwide awareness of cybersecurity and metaverse, because we understand that is the future and we need to get people future ready. So that's our basic plan as of now.
I think it's not just that. Definitely productizing it is a great way to go, but I think such kind of technology can not just be used in metaverse, but can be sort of plug and played in different digital spaces, where, because once you understand the inputs, the flow of data that is coming in, it's much easier than to interpret the same in a different place, because essentially the technology in the physical world is growing only so fast, and the virtual world is something that we are still catching up with. So thanks a lot for joining us today in this episode of Breakpoint.
Thank you so much, Inglu, for inviting us. I mean, it was a really great time discussing such interesting topics and also showcasing our research book over here. It was very great time. Yeah,
How was your experience?
it was amazing. It was amazing.
It was one of the best experiences, and I hope we have converted one metaverse junkie, that is you now.
Yeah. I think especially after the campaign thing, I'm like right now thinking that yes, it's not to be trivialized. Actually, it's getting very, very real. But thanks a lot for researching in this space and joining us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining us today. We will see you all in the next episode. Until then, bye bye.